figure. Introducer. What's your role? Oh, this is it. I'm going to confirm everything.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. We get to all be together again. Isn't it wonderful? All right. Well, we're going to start our time together by lighting the chalice. And if you would join with me in doing that, I would greatly appreciate it. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we live together.
And as the chalice is lit, may our hearts begin to become calm. May we take a time to breathe and feel the presence of the sacred as we gather here in this place. In the season of long, cold nights, hope is not waiting for us to find it. Hope isn't sitting patiently on the sidelines. Hope seeks out the forgotten places, the longest night, the damaged temple, the overcrowded stable, and every corner where tomorrow seems impossible. Hope bursts in uninvited. Without concern for our carefully crafted plans, hope shows up as a lamp that keeps burning. Hope shows up as an improbable baby. Hope shows up as the sun returning without ever having left. Hope shows up as tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, until against all odds we feel the future breaking on the horizon. When we are weary from battle, when empire seems inevitable, and when darkness is growing around us, hope comes to claim us, and we have a chance to say yes. Good morning. My name is Charlie Tyler. I'm the pastoral minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Low Country, and it's my pleasure to offer you into a place of hope, of sacredness, where you will find a common heart and a common mind and a common way that we will be able to encourage each other, build each other up, and continue to keep ourselves together in this sacred place. And so I welcome you here, and I ask that those of you that are guests, a couple things I'd like to ask you to do for me. If you would please, first as a guest, if you would reach forward and take this little yellow card, Yellow Pass. You find it in your seat in front of you somewhere. Take that out, fill it out, and leave it on the pew, and we'll pick it up after the service is over. But the other thing I'd like to ask, if you're willing, is if you're willing to stand where you are, tell us your name, and tell us where you're from. We'd like to know that. So if you're on my far right, your far left section, if you're a first or time guest or visitor, would you please stand? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Ann. I'm Kat's mom.
Hey, Kat's mom. Welcome, Ann. Any others on this side? And in the center section, first or second time visitors? No? On my far left, your far right, first or second time visitors? Those of you that are here as regular attenders, those of you who are members or intend to become a member, by the way, speaking of that, we'll be having a new member class later on in February. Keep your ears out for that. But as we gather together, we find ourselves in this place where we know that this is sacred, where we know we find our strength and find our heart, hope, where we know we find safety in the people that we are. And so as we gather here, I would pray that that magnify itself, and as you leave from here, that you take it with you. I have a number of announcements that I want to be able to bring to you today. In a few moments, I'm going to invite Steve DeZigo to come up. He's going to have an educational moment on menorah and Hanukkah. But speaking of lights, Hanukkah begins tonight, and this is the sacred story that's important for us. The new chair of the Care Committee, Candida, where are you? Are you here? Stand up if you would, please. I know that standing up is not a long way for you, but if you... As a person who is also vertically impaired, I get that. Candida is in charge of the Care Committee. If you have concerns, let her know, and she'll organize that for you. Social justice news, Kathy Zeiser has also asked me to let you know that the UUCL Social Justice Efforts has a Facebook site, and you can find what's going on there. I've also been given this announcement that we're looking for a few new greeters. Responsibilities are have a smile. All of you qualify to say hello to people as they come in through the doors, to be able to hand out our order of service, and also to let us know about how many people were in the service so that we can keep track of that, adults and children. We're asking for a commitment of about 4 or 5 Sundays a year. Not so difficult. So think about that. Let's see, Linda, where are you? Yes, Linda, would you stand up? If you would like to be able to volunteer for that, see that lady? Linda will make sure that she gets your information. Small group dining continues to be signed up for. I hope that you are taking the opportunity to do. Is that right, Kathleen? Still going on? Okay. Sign up sheet is in the lobby. This year, our youth are giving to the Hilton Head Humane Association. And as well today, they're also having their cookie sale. After the church service is over, if you would go back into the Lucille Claire Barton room, where the cookies are, what we will be asking you to do, first of all, fill a plate and maybe make a donation, $5 or so for that donation, and take the cookies with you and share it. That's one of the things that we do to raise money for our work here. Cookbooks continue to be made available, so if you are interested, we have some here, $20, and I think a number of them have been sold. Let me speak to you about this coming Sunday, which will be a little bit different. On the 21st, we will be gathering for an informal worship time at 10 o'clock. The one difference will be that you will be asked to pick up a cup of coffee on the way in and gather in here so that we can begin to celebrate our past Christmases and tell those stories in the same way we might around a fireplace, just sharing those good times and knitting ourselves together. And afterwards, there'll be no talk back. You just go back to your life on that particular 21st and then come back at 5 o'clock for our candlelight service. That's why we wanted to make that Sunday morning service a little bit briefer so that you have time to get home, catch your breath, and then come back for our annual candlelight service, which is always deeply meaningful. I was in touch with our church administrator, David and Sarah, last night. Some of you may not know that David was in the Hilton Head Hospital last night for a brief time and then was transferred to MUSC last night to undergo some special treatments and to see some special doctors and physicians. So David asked that you continue to hold him in the light of your love for him and his family. Ellen as well, too. So please, if you would, keep that in your place and keep that in your heart. Before I invite Steve to come up, I want to remind you that this area that we're on, this ground that we're on, the Native American tribes who originally stewarded this land around this road were the Kusabo, the Escamanku, and the Yamasee. We remember them well. Are there any other announcements that I need to make before I invite Steve back up? So Steve, if you would please, bring us a brief history.
Good morning. Quick synopsis of Hanukkah is an 8-day celebration of the Festival of Lights, and tonight is the first night. Okay? Story of Hanukkah. Okay. The story of Hanukkah begins with back in probably 2000 BC. The Greeks controlled Israel, and they were going to force them to worship their gods. When the Jews refused to worship their gods, they invaded Israel and tore down their synagogue. Days later, the Jews went to see the damage, and they saw that the menorah they had only had like 1 day of light, 1 day of oil, with them. And miraculously, this 1 day of oil lasted 8 days, and that's how we have the 8 days of Hanukkah. Now, we practice in Hanukkah, we have a menorah. This is the menorah, okay? The one where my candle is called Shemesh. And what this does, this is lit tonight, and every night that we add another candle, and we use this candle here to light these candles here. So it's a marvelous. What I found interesting is that the Israel has a lunar calendar, and every year it'll change based on what the moon is. So it's not like Christmas; that's every day the 25th. And there's also, I know everybody knows the dreidel. It's the top, you spin it, and it has letters on it. On those letters, they spell out, a great miracle happened here. Okay? And the children love Hanukkah because they get gifts every night of Hanukkah. The 8 nights they get a gift. So that's a brief. Anybody wants to talk to me about it afterwards, I'll be glad to help you.
Is today the first day of Hanukkah?
Yeah, first night, yeah.
Very nice, thank you.
And if this menorah stays up here long enough, I will knock it over. So I'm going to let you save it, if you would, please. Thank you. A couple things before I invite Dr. Jones up. Last night, Joe Crookston put on a performance. It was absolutely outstanding. Those of you who were able to be here, it was truly amazing. I have never heard a better lyricist than him. Those of you who will be looking forward next year to his time to come around, I know that you're going to want to be there. And you'll also see that David Roth will be with us Saturday, January 24th. And I hope that you'll be able to be a part of that. It's pretty special times. Dr. Jones is a close friend of mine. It's my pleasure to be able to have him in our pulpit and to share this pulpit together with him. And so, Neal, if you would, please, your opening words.
Good morning. Good to be with you again. Vertically challenged. If you're a vertically challenged member, I invite you to lie down on the floor if you need to. Our opening words come from Reverend Gretchen Haley, who writes, "In a world that feeds on moral outrage, we are here to cultivate moral courage. In a time that prizes picking sides, we gather to draw a wider circle. In a culture that teaches us to ask, what's in it for me? We come to practice generosity and to remember that we're all in this together. In the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, to be keepers of beauty, to offer a place of belonging to all who come in gladness and in pain, to resist the push to the next moment and the next, to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater. For this hour, in this place, let us be the change we wish to see. I invite you to stand with me as we sing our opening hymn to put us in the Christmas spirit, number 225, Come, O Come, Emmanuel. We'll sing just the first two verses.
We now have the great joy of being able to share our abundance. Thank you all that have brought donations for both Bluffton Self-Help and the food pantry. Obviously, we're just trying to make sure that everyone's checking those expiration dates to make sure that everything is within code, because otherwise they can't offer it to their patrons. And we know that this is a great time of need for everyone, especially our food pantries, as food awareness has become quite an issue for us. Also, I'd like us to take a moment, other than our visitor, to share our generosity to sustain the fellowship that we share together as we move, if we close out this year, 2025, and move into 2026. It's more important than ever that we lift each other up, but we also need some generosity to be able to do that. So in order to sustain our fellowship, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity.
The next portion of our service is in our joys and in our concerns. In an effort to continue to make this time and this space sacred, we would like to ask that you keep your hearts focused on what's going on up here. And also, when you take a stone, because of the symbolism of the stone, because of the permanence of the stone, I'm going to ask you in your heart and your mind's eye, if you're willing, to symbolically take your joy and symbolically take your stone, take your concern, and place it in the heart of the stone. That way we gather them together in the cairn, and later when we celebrate with a way that we will put these stones back into nature, your joy and your concern will continue to be going on with them. So let's continue to make this space and this time sacred, if you would please, as you bring your joy and as you bring your concern. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcella. I'm up here because I want to thank everyone who showed up on Tuesday to listen to me and my partner perform at the Irish Coffee. It's always so great seeing friendly faces in the audience, and quite a few of you did show up. But not to worry if you missed it this time or the last time. There is another one coming up on, I think it's, well, I'm sure, but I'll let you know just before, January 9th. So I hope to see you there if I didn't see you this time. And if I saw you this time, I hope to see you again. Thank you.
I chose black stone because sometimes there's beauty in black. When I was singing this verse this morning, verse 1, O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all the exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. I'm sorry. It's not about me, it's about them. I just feel I'm very empathetic. I work for Inspiritus. We're a refugee resettlement agency in Savannah. I think we've been through it this year under the new administration. And I just want you, can you hold in your hearts all the refugees that have come under Biden? At first, we thought the new policy was going to be limited to those from the 19 countries on the travel ban list, but no. All refugees who have entered under Biden, their case will likely be re-reviewed. They may be re-interviewed. They may be eventually denied their refugee status. But here's for hope. I was part of that process of processing people when I lived in Kenya to come under the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. It's very organized. It's very in-depth. There's lots of interviews. There's background checks. So here's just hoping that love and sense wins out. Why would you re-adjudicate someone whose case has already been re-adjudicated? People who came under Biden, some of them came in 2021, 2022, 2023. So they've been here finally living free of persecution, having resettled here in the United States, living here for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. And I'm going to have to tell all of them who come for questions, prepare them for this. So just keep them in your hearts, bid them cheer. Thank you. This isn't just about undocumented. They're very documented. And they're people who've suffered trauma and torture and other things. So please keep them in your hearts. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Tish. I have a concern and a joy. My concern is my brother is not well. He's going to have surgery on his aortic valve. We haven't scheduled it yet, so I'm waiting to hear about that, so that's my concern. My joy is my youngest grandson, who's just, I love him dearly. He's called me twice in the last 2 weeks, once because he's as big, if not bigger, baseball fan than I am, and called me to tell me about a guy we signed that we were very excited about. And he also called me because he lost his wallet, and he had to go get his license redone. And he lives in Maryland, where you have to register with a party. And he called me to tell me that he was changing his party affiliation from what I didn't like to what I like. So he's like, Nona, I know you're going to be really happy about this, so I had to call and tell you.
Good morning. I'm Clay, and I have a joy and part of a concern. Just my face is the concern. But last Sunday, I did a face plant, and that's a long story. But the joy is how many people just stepped up in the middle of the night, and particularly my wife, when you're going through a medical crisis. And so it's the first time I've been in an ambulance, and it's the first time I've met the Hilton Head folks in that ambulance, and they were just simply wonderful. And then I get to the emergency room at Hilton Head, and the doctor and nurse were just so compassionate, incredibly compassionate. And then finally, you all, the word gets out quick when something goes wrong, and just cards, letters, support, hugs are wonderful. Thank you very much.
So I have a concern today. Hiagwa and I have a very dear friend in Kauai, where we lived for 16 years, who unfortunately is in the last stages of life in hospice care, and we just found out this morning, and we're sort of rocked by that because she was a totally unique, amazing human being, and now she's on her way out, and of course that's life, and we all have to deal with that, but if you can hold her in your hearts and Hiagwa and I in your heart, we'd be grateful.
Hello, everyone. Hi. My name is Rachel, and I'm getting closer, I promise. I have a concern. It's really hard for me to come up and speak. Hard as it is to believe. But this is about me, and I'm fiercely independent. And unfortunately, the time has come for me to ask for help. So I am trying to my independence is leaving, and I am in need of help as far as cleaning my house and going through some things. So I guess I would just ask to maybe have some help as far as coming over and, sitting down, having a cup of coffee, and maybe going through some things with me, and hopefully getting a lot of the clutter that's out of my house. So, but I just wanted to thank everyone for their support and their love all the time. So thank you. Thank you. And I have to go listen to Karen. Thank you.
It's a good one. I have a joy. We made it through 2025, almost. Next Sunday, I won't be here with you because I will be in St. Louis visiting my wonderful daughter, Alexandra, but I will be celebrating a very big birthday. That's and you've all been with me for a long part of that journey. So I thank you for that, and that's my great joy that I have all of you in my life.
Okay, my name's Wes. I think you all know me, fear me. Last December, I tried to have my knee replaced, and I got waylaid with a little infection, ended up in the hospital. I had to put it off until June. I'm now, this December, getting ready to have the other one done. And I'm down to the last 3 days. Oh, 3 more days. I have been looking forward to this for so long I cannot even begin to tell you. My instability, the pain in my leg is just... And the funny part is, the other knee was the one that gave me the most trouble, but it was a piece of cake. It just, nothing. So I'm hoping this one goes as easy. But anyway, think about it. I don't need cards. I don't need visits. I don't need any of that. Just keep thinking about me. And if I pass away, I don't make it through. Okay, forget I said that.
I am Steve. As many of you know, that Joy and I don't have a car, and we live with a golf cart. And unfortunately, with the weather getting wet and cold, it's hard to get in the golf cart when it's like that. So we ask people to give us a call every once in a while and see if we can use a ride somewhere. I can use Staying Connected to get me my doctors, but if I want to go to Publix, it's hard. So keep us in mind. Thank you.
And I will take 2 stones, one for the joys and concerns that remain unspoken, and an additional stone to remember children that have been affected by gun violence. And now we'll read today's affirmation, number 610. The journey of love. Where in our hearts is that burning of desire? It is true that we are made of dust, and the world is also made of dust, but the dust has motes rising. Whence comes that drive in us? The look to the starry sky and love storms in our hearts. Whence comes that storm? The journey of love is a very long journey, but sometimes, with a sigh, you can cross that vast desert. Search and search again without losing hope. You may find sometime a treasure on your way. My heart and my eyes are all devoted to the vision. Thank you.
In most stories, when gods become incarnate, they are powerful and imposing beings. They're typically born to royalty or to other gods. They are typically pillars of fire or capable of hurling thunderbolts. But the birth of Jesus is extraordinary because it's so ordinary. First of all, Mary was an unwed teenager who came from an ordinary family, living in a small town in a foreign occupied area. Nazareth was only an outpost in Roman occupied Judea on the fringe of a world empire. And as was the custom at that time and place, Mary was engaged to an older man through an arranged marriage. Joseph was a local carpenter who, in all likelihood, learned his trade from his father. Neither of them was literate or specially gifted, but Joseph had likely been taught by his father how to be a good provider, and Mary had likely been taught by her mother how to provide a good home. It's likely that neither traveled more than a few miles beyond where they were born. They came from a simple, ordinary life, and they were prepared to live a simple, ordinary life together. As we'd say back home, they were just folks. And then there's the birth itself. It occurs in a smelly stable full of barnyard animals, in which the baby is laid in an animal's feeding trough. And who were the first ones to receive the news of this birth? According to the Gospel of Luke, just some ordinary shepherds who were tending their sheep, just doing the everyday kind of thing that shepherds do. The story doesn't claim that they were particularly virtuous or gifted or wise. They were just folks. Now, the Gospel of Matthew takes the story in a whole different direction. It focuses on a sinister political plot. At the time of Jesus' birth, the Roman Empire's puppet king of Judea was Herod. And Matthew portrays him as an insecure, thin-skinned, petty, petulant, manipulative, cruel narcissist. Now, I know it's hard to imagine such a political leader, but according to the Bible, that's who Herod was. He was so threatened by news of the birth of a potential rival that this paranoid ruler ordered the slaughter of every baby boy under the age of 2. So, for their own safety and the safety of their newborn, Mary and Joseph fled the violence of their home and became refugees in Egypt. Now, I used to think of that line from the biblical story about no room at the inn in a benign way, as a kind of neon no vacancy sign flashing from the ancient motels of biblical times. It reminds me of my childhood, when my family would drive down to the beach on summer vacation, trying to find a motel with a pool, but they were all full. But as I've gotten older, and maybe a little wiser about the ways of the world, I hear the words, no room at the inn, a little differently. I can picture the looks of disgust and indifference by the inn owners as Mary and Joseph knock on door after door. The powers that be slam the doors into their desperate faces with a kind of righteousness, I can almost hear them thinking, let the likes of you in? While you're probably dirty, diseased, illegal, crazy, violent, or whatever. No room at the inn was and is a sign that says, you're not welcome here. You're a nobody. You don't matter. Because you're what, poor, uneducated, homeless, migrants, young and pregnant, Let me tell you what I think is the real miracle of the nativity story. This unwed teenage mother, without education or wealth or social status, chooses not to believe that sign. Instead of believing the powers that be that say that she and her baby are nobodies, she listens to an angel who proclaims, "The child you are going to birth is holy, a child of God." And Mary believes that angel, and she acts on her belief. How do we know she acts on her belief? Well, look at how this child turned out. How could Jesus live and teach with such courage and compassion if his mother had not had the confidence that there was indeed room for him in this world, that he was indeed a child of God? Or as many of us UUs would say, that he was a person of inherent worth and dignity. Listen to how the Gospel of Matthew records the beginning of Jesus' ministry. By the way, this Baptist preacher is going to teach you some Bible this morning. Writes Matthew, "And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as was his custom, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath. And he stood up to read. And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. And he unrolled the scroll and found the place where it is written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.' And he rolled up the scroll and gave it back to the attendant and sat down. And the eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed upon him. And he said to them, 'Today, this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing.' Because he knew he was somebody, Jesus, throughout his ministry, stood up and spoke up for those who were pushed aside, disempowered, rejected, or forgotten. Those who were told by the powers that be that there was no room for them in the inn. He consistently assured these so-called nobodies that they were indeed somebody. Now, the Bible refers to the nobodies in society as the least of these. Do you know where that phrase comes from? Jesus is teaching his disciples, who shall inherit the kingdom of God? And they, like us, have been taught that the powerful and influential are the ones who will be rewarded. But Jesus teaches them differently with this parable. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me.' And then the righteous will answer him, saying, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and visit you?' And the king will answer them, 'Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you did it to me.'" Now, I find this parable to be a remarkable story of empathy. Jesus feels such empathy with the nobodies of society that he tells his disciples that when they extend a hand of compassion to the least of these, they're extending their hand to Jesus himself. Compassion comes from empathy. And empathy comes from the recognition of our common humanity. Jesus knew what it was like to be treated as a nobody. Now, back when I was in college and seminary, it was popular for many Christians to wear bracelets with the letters WWJD. What would Jesus do? He undoubtedly grew up hearing stories from his parents of how they had once been refugees, having to pack up and leave their home because of violence and go seek shelter in a foreign land. What would Jesus do? Well, I can tell you what he would not do. He would not rip crying children from the arms of their parents and put them in crowded cages like animals. He would not patrol our borders with guns and tear gas desperate men, women, and children standing on the other side of a fence. He would not arrest humanitarians as if they were criminals for leaving food and water for those risking their lives to cross a desert to a promised land. And Jesus very likely grew up hearing stories of shame heaped on his mother for being an unwed mother. What would Jesus do? Well, I can tell you what he would not do. He would not form picket lines of hate-filled protesters shouting hate-filled epithets at women making a difficult life choice, affecting their future and the future of their families. He would take them by the hand and walk with them through a difficult time. And Jesus would have at least as much compassion for a child after he or she is born as when they are unborn. Jesus saw with his own eyes the struggles of his family trying to make ends meet. The scriptures say that as an adult, Jesus himself had no place to lay his head. What would Jesus do? Well, I can tell you what he would not do. He would not propose, as our president has, the rounding up of homeless people and warehousing them in federal homeless camps because, quote, they look bad for the neighborhood. Jesus would see homelessness for what it is, as a symptom of neglect, a lack of affordable housing, a lack of a minimum wage that's a livable wage, a lack of affordable, accessible health care for physical and mental health, a lack of care for our veterans after they return home, to name just a few of the roots of the problem. But the primary root of the problem is this. Unlike Jesus, we don't see the homeless as human beings, but as trash on the sidewalk and as eyesores to the neighborhood. What would Jesus do? I can tell you what he would not do. He would not blame the poor for being poor. Now, in his day, religious leaders saw wealth as a sign of God's favor. And in our day, some of our so-called religious leaders preach a prosperity gospel, which makes the same claim. Jesus condemned the blaming of the victim then, and I feel sure he would do so today. What we need is a war on poverty. What we have instead is a war on the poor, denying the least of these the resources to earn a decent living and to live a decent life, while closing our eyes to the larger political and economic system, which is rigged to shift more and more of our national wealth to the top 1%. Jesus certainly grew up hearing stories of how King Herod abused his power to cause the senseless death of children and to cause Mary and Joseph to flee to Egypt to save the life of their own child. What would Jesus do? I can tell you what he would not do. He would not sell his soul for political expediency. He would not sacrifice his conscience to cozy up to politicians who have no conscience. He would not turn his gospel of faith, hope, and love into a political agenda of hate, fear, and bigotry. When it was necessary to speak truth to power, Jesus didn't mince words. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! For you tithe mint and deal in cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! For you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but on the inside, they're full of greed and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the plate, that the outside may also be clean. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! For you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness. So you also appear righteous to others, but within you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Now, I could be wrong, but I suspect that if Jesus were around today, he would not be invited to be the featured speaker at the National Prayer Breakfast. All our lives, we walk around with the question, who am I? Who am I? We especially look for answers when we're children, but this search really continues throughout our lives. We are constantly on the lookout for signs to tell us who we are. And the world constantly confronts us with various versions of no room at the inn. In case you haven't noticed, we live in a highly judgmental society. Your teeth aren't white enough. Your skin isn't white enough. Your hair is too white, too thin, too long, too short. Your body is too flabby, too wrinkled. Your grades are too low. You're too slow, too inefficient, too unproductive. You don't exercise enough. You don't stretch enough during yoga or are mindful enough during meditation. You eat too many carbs, too much sugar, too much meat. You don't have enough likes on Facebook or enough friends. You don't make enough money or have enough stuff. Your clothes are not in style. You don't drive the right kind of car. You don't live in the right kind of house or in the right neighborhood. You're not married to the perfect spouse, and your children aren't gifted and talented. You're not making a difference. You make too many mistakes. You're a mistake. You're broken. You're flawed. Your life doesn't matter. You're a nobody. There are so many versions of the sign, no room at the inn. And I know it's tempting to believe them because we hear them all our lives. And they are spoken by the powers that be. But don't you believe them. Listen. Listen to the angels who whisper in your ear, "You are holy. You are a child of God. You have dignity and worth. You are somebody. You matter. You, right where you are, right as you are." And who are these angels? They're the people who really know you and who really love you, past and present. They're the people who've cared about you and have wanted what was best for you and have helped you become who you are. Hear the whispers of these angels and give them your gratitude. There's no room in the inn. Bah humbug. Don't you believe it? Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And before we go any further, I want to remind us that we'll be gathering back here a little bit after 11 o'clock for our talk back. I think we all have a lot that we want to share with Dr. Jones concerning that message. However, we are going to take a little bit of a different tack at the end of our service here. Rather than Spirit of Life, David and Mike have a piece that they want to bring to us today. It's perfectly fitting in light of the message that we've just heard. And so, Mike, the name of this song is?
If you didn't hear that, it's hard to be depressed.
It is hard to be depressed. And they're going to sing this for you, so let's give attention to them. Thank you for Mike. Thank you, David.
So, as Charlie said, we're Mike and Dave, and I think we're still young enough to know which one is which. We tried to come up with a name for our group, and we failed miserably. We thought of the indigestions, and we thought of the heartbreak of psoriasis, but it was really hard to come up with a name that set the bar low enough. One thing, Mike writes these lovely songs, and I'm really happy to be able to sing them with him. But one thing you'll notice about this song is that between the verses, we are going to engage in some copyright infringement, and I hope you will join us. You will notice that these are songs that you know, and please sing along.
Here's an idea. How's that? I always forget the switch. Darn. Oh. Hang on.
It's hard to be depressed when you're picking on a banjo. Lying low and sad and slow is difficult to be. My mind just starts to bounce and my fingers can't slow down. I just can't maintain an ugly frown sitting picking on my banjo. Here you go. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. My body feels refreshed when I'm laughing with my banjo. Ha! My heart, it feels the glow, and there ain't no place to be. I just can't be a grump when I'm picking some old love song. Fast time seems to slow here, cuddling with my banjo. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain, she'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
Well, there might come a day when I see you walking by with a sadness in your eye, like you've got a heavy heart. So let's all sing a tune, pick up that good old 5-string. 'Cause there's one thing that we all know, you love playing that old banjo.
I got a gal at the head of the creek, going up to see her about 2 times a week. Kiss her on the mouth, sweet as any wine, wrap myself around her like a sweet potato vine. Going up to Cripple Creek, going at a run, going up to Cripple Creek to have a little fun. Going up to Cripple Creek, going in a whirl, going up to Cripple Creek to see my girl.
Yo, listen up here, Nicholson.
Yeah?
Don't let politics disturb you. Read a book, ignore the news. Just pick up your instrument. It'll get you off the hook. It'll wipe your tears away. It's just like you always say, just get picking on that banjo.
It's hard to be depressed when you're picking on the banjo. Being low and sad and slow is difficult to be. My mind just starts to bounce, and my fingers can't slow down. I just can't maintain an ugly frown sitting picking on my banjo. I can't maintain an ugly frown sitting picking on my banjo.
So I'm supposed to have the closing words, and I am absolutely speechless. Thanks, guys. That was delightful. Thank you so much for that. That was quite special. Anne, thank you for coming and being with Kat today. Thank you for sharing your, please, if you would. Cookies. I saw some of the kids come in. Please go get the cookies. Make sure that you take a plate with you. They're all low calorie and they're all high fiber. All of them. Pay accordingly. And the talk back, of course, will be held shortly. Dr. Jones, if you would please, your closing remarks.
Our closing words are by Abraham Maslow, who says, in any given moment, we have 2 options: to step forward in growth or to step back into safety. The choice is ours. Amen.
Wow, what a wonderful time we've shared together this morning. Sadly, this time will come to a close, but it'll be followed by delicious coffee and refreshments, and then our time together back here for the talk back. So as we end this time in our sacred space, would you please join with me, stand if you are willing and able, and share with me our extinguishing of the chalice. While we extinguish this flame, we'll still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Amen.